All right. Hi, everyone. Today I have a very special guest with me. Today, Sarthak, who is a founder of Klinn, and I'm really excited to have him up. Today, we'll be diving onto his journey on how he created this initiative and how his life has been. So, thank you so much for being here, Sarthak.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. So, let's start with some rapid fire questions to just get some fired up with this podcast. So, are you ready for that?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay. So, firstly, how will you describe yourself in three words?
Three words. I'd say
Yeah.
ambitious, uh, fulfillment, and I'd say lazy.
Oh my God, honest. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, if you get a chance to have dinner with someone who you really inspire with, who will that be and why?
Yeah, someone that I'm really inspired by that I'd like to say Messi. Definitely one of my idols growing up. I watched a lot of soccer, and I loved everything about him. So yeah.
That's sweet. Awesome. And so, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Yeah, 5 years from now, hopefully I'll be, a rising senior at a good college, working on a tech startup, hopefully in the Bay Area. But yeah,
Awesome. That's amazing. Okay, so now I'll tell you with the whole structure. So first we'll be knowing more about your background, knowing what initiative you're taking, and some advice you can give all the high schoolers out there who are listening to this podcast. So let's dive in. So knowing about your background, since so like walk us through like your early days in India. So you were initially there in India and then you shifted to US. So, what was your family and like education like while growing up?
yeah, I mean, I've lived most of my life in the US, so most of my education was here too, or pretty much all of it. But I'd say in the US, it's very, elementary school and middle school are very, very easy. So you just get a lot of time to enjoy your childhood, have fun, and I had a lot of fun. And then going into high school, it really, really changes drastically. I think you become a lot more serious, focusing on, academics, the SAT, your AP classes, college applications. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty much how it is growing up, related to education.
Awesome. And Sarthak, since you shifted from India, so so what changes did you see with your whole personality and development, like both internally like and externally, if you describe?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I only lived 2 years in India. So again, the majority was in the US. So I barely remember anything about my time in India since I was so little. Uh, but yeah, that's probably the most honest answer I can give you.
Okay. So did you started with Klinn while being in like US?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Again, I've been living in the US for the last 14 years. So, Clinton, I started about a year ago.
Awesome. So, talking about your clean initiative you took, so how did you started with this whole initiative, and what gaps did you see in the market which you're trying to solve?
Yeah, for sure. So, last summer, it was July, I was with my cousins, and we just kind of wanted to work on a small side project for fun. And I thought it'd be, cool to work on something with my cousins since I was at their house. And so we just sat down every night for a few hours, very late at night, at a whiteboard right there, and we just like brainstorm, just think, what issues have we faced, what issues have other students faced, since we kind of knew we wanted to build an education. Uh, and eventually, after we talked to one of our family friends who's a pre-med at Georgia State, she kind of told us about this problem about clinical experience, and how difficult it is to find it. And so that's when we settled on that problem, chose it, and we're like, okay, let's help pre-med students find clinical experience in these internships. So that's kind of how we found the idea.
Awesome. And like talking about the clinical experience you're giving, which is super cool, and I think definitely separates you from like other platforms. So I was like very curious. Like I saw that we need to put our zip code there, and then like if you can just dive in with the whole process it goes through, like how does it work like with the clinical experience?
Yeah, so like for pre-meds, we're trying to help them find three main types of internships. The first two are clinical internships, which are really important for med school applications, as well as research internships. And then we also kind of have startup internships for pre-meds and just students in general that want to take a sort of non-traditional route. But basically, our platform, what happens is they upload their resume, sort of add in their experience, and after that, we vectorize that data and we compare it to the data that we have on professors and startups, as well as clinics. We do a slightly different process, but we give them a match score. So, for example, if your resume is very oriented towards oncology and there's a professor that has a lot of research in oncology, you'll have a higher match score with them. And then you can like contact them and email them directly through our platform with smart suggestions. Now, for clinics, as you kind of mentioned, our process is slightly different. Since for clinics, we don't have as much data. Uh, what we do is we mainly have contact information and location information. So what we do is we have users put in their zip code, as you mentioned, and then it's pretty simple. We just rank them by rank the clinics by distance. So the closest clinics first.
Wow, that's amazing. So how do you do that? So is it like so did you like partner with some clinics nearby? And if you feel like scaling this up in the future, how will you do that like offline with accessibility and feasibility looking at that for people?
Yeah, for sure. So to answer your first question about partnering with clinics, our original approach was, yeah, we're gonna reach out to clinics and get them on our platform, kind of like LinkedIn or Indeed, how companies post jobs, we'd have clinics post jobs. The problem that we found was when we'd cold call these clinics, number one, calling each clinic would last like 30 minutes on the phone because it's very bureaucratic, it's very slow. And then even after all that, they didn't really want to join a new platform because there's very little incentive for them when we don't have
Mm.
users, right? So to sort of solve this like chicken and egg problem between users and getting clinics on board, we decided, hey, why don't we just scrape all the data for clinics? Why don't we find their contact information and students can be the ones that contact them? So to answer your question, no, we don't partner with clinics yet. We
Okay.
just help students contact them.
Awesome. And since so like as you also list all the opportunities for non-medical and medical students, and since I know that America has a lot of opportunities, like even if people go through Google search or social media or like even with few platforms coming up who list down all the opportunities which is present around in US. So how are you differentiating and what is your USP in Klinn?
Yeah, if you're talking about the like the extracurriculars pages, for those, the original plan was we just kind of wanted to get a way to get users very quickly. So our goal is not to be the leading company in how many, extracurricular data set or how large an extracurricular data set is. There's already many leaders, right? Ultra, Y Combinator startups working on this. There's Snow Day, extracurriculars.org. There's so many competitors in that. And so it's a very saturated market. But our initial plan was, hey, we're just gonna if we have all these opportunities up, we know it's worked because Find DC is another similar company got acquired for that. We can get users very quickly. And so we can build users and sort of work on our next product, and then we'll already have people who use our website. So our end goal was not to have a very like a USP, as you mentioned, in having extracurriculars. It's just to work on different things and then get the users first.
Okay, awesome. So where do you see Klinn after 5 or maybe like 10 years? And do you plan to like earn revenue from this platform?
Yeah, so we are for profit. In 10 years, truth be told, I don't know if I'll still be working on Klinn or our team. 5 years, even 5 years is a very long-term amount. Right now, we're kind of figuring out what our next moves are. We still want to build something in ed tech. We're trying to find product market fit with this cold outreach tool, but the thing is, uh, there's a lot of fundamental flaws with the product when it comes to being a business. And so we have to figure out if we're pivoting or not. So Klinn might not be working on in the pre-med space in 5 years. We might be working in ed tech, but something completely different.
Awesome. Okay, so Sarthak, I get a lot of students who are like so they kind of get a problem. They see a problem, a frustration and pain point which users usually face. But then the only thing they feel is even like I sometimes feel that if a problem which I'm thinking is a problem might not be a problem for others. So how do you think we should figure that out? if we are solving a real problem, because sometimes the problem which we feel is a problem might not be a problem for others.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that's a very valid question. And what I'll say is when it comes to product validation and finding, hey, is my idea or my solution actually wanted by other people? Uh, there's a few different approaches you can take. The first one I'd say is figure out whether it's a want to have or a need to have. You might have heard the thing in startups about like antibiotics versus vitamins. You want to build an antibiotic, something that's like a need to have, not a vitamin that's a want to have. And the best way you can figure that out is talking to your market, right? So if you think, hey, I might like in my example, we might need, cold outreach for pre-meds. If I think that's useful, do other pre-meds think that's useful? Well, the only way you can find out is by talking to your users, talking to them on calls, cold messaging them, actually talking to them. The other thing is building up a wait list. So on LinkedIn, you might have seen I put a few posts up advertising it. We got a lot of interest there. And that kind of gave us early signs that, hey, people want this product. Uh, but I'd say the biggest thing you can do is try to like sell it before it exists. And if there's demand, people will be willing to buy.
Awesome. All right. I think it got cleared with my problem as well. So, okay, so can you like dive onto your journey, like a day in your life as a founder? So like even like a recent how your day looks like as being a Klinn founder. Just walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, my summer just started, so I have a lot more time. So usually I wake up, grab breakfast, and then the first thing I do is I like checking my emails, LinkedIn, Twitter messages, everything, Discord messages, figuring out what I need to get done for the day. After that, I guess every day is different, right? There's like not one structured day. I like to do deep work. Klinn is one of the only things I work on. So I dedicate a lot of time to it. And what that means is I can really just whatever needs to be worked on that day, I'll work on that, right? Because as a founder, you're not like specialized. You're kind of a generalist. So you really work on whatever. So I work on whatever impending tasks need to be done that day. That's a lot of applying to grants, a lot of marketing, a lot of emailing people. A big part of being a founder is just emailing tons of people. And then I like to have something social towards the night to do. So whether it be calling friends for, an hour, something like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So the last question I would really like to ask you is, what is a biggest advice you would give to all the high schoolers who are planning to make their careers in medical or healthcare sector? If we, like for international and American students, like what advice would you give them?
Um, I'd say make sure you're truly passionate about it. Healthcare is a very long, tedious journey, right? Especially in America, it's you have your undergrad, if you get a master's, you have med school, residency, any specialized training. It's a very long process. So make sure that and that's assuming you want to be a doctor or physician, but make sure you're truly passionate about that because it's such a long process. You don't want to burn yourself out, right? So
Hmm.
don't get into being like, hey, I'm going to become a doctor just because my parents want me to, and then you get to applying to med school and you're like, hey, I'm not built for this. So make sure you're truly passionate about it.
Yeah, I would say like most Indian parents have this kind of a mindset that my children should go into those engineering and doctor field, which I think should be changed and should be flexible for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Because it's a very difficult journey. So,
right. Yeah. Awesome. So, what's the best way to reach out to you, Sarthak, if audience would like to know more about Klinn or about your whole journey?
I'd say join the Klinn Discord server, or you can always shoot me a message on Twitter or shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Anything works really.
I'll drop that up. Just send me with all those links.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being there. It was truly insightful, the whole value you gave to the audience, and I learned a lot as well. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you so much for inviting me, Akarsha.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.